Bright suns and rising moons, fellow droids. Welcome to another episode of Not the Droids podcast. I'm Mayuri,
And I'm Danny.
and today we are talking about the season finale, episode 12 of season 1 of Andor, titled Rick's Road. I feel like Kamala going like, "We did it, Joe. We did it.
We made it. It's been an adventure. And now, like, the realization of, like, these poor people that have had to wait since 2022.
I can't believe it." I couldn't even wait until we recorded
Yeah.
this episode. I literally watched this directly after recording the last one.
And it was not
When did
early when we finished. Like,
how long have they been waiting? When did this come out?
November 23rd, 2022.
So like 2.5 years,
Yeah,
really?
pretty much.
Mm-mm. No wonder everyone's so antsy for this.
April 22nd. Everybody is ready.
But yeah, no, this was a great finale. And I know you know what I'm going to say, right? Because we watched it, I watched it, and all I could do last when I was watching it was shout at my computer, Danny, the tunnels.
Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel. Uh, for those of you that are not the Last Airbender fans, go look up the Secret Tunnel song. For those of you that are, I introduced Mayuri to the Secret Tunnel song last
Well, because
episode.
I was so convinced, like the second they were like, Marva is trying to figure out the old tunnels, and I'm like, that's gonna be the way. That is how they save Bix. Um, and it was indeed Cassian who did it. As soon as he heard that Bix was captured, he was like, "We got to get her out." Like,
Hmm.
I love that for him. But
Right, so Detra returns. That's how we start our episode.
you know, I like. I don't like her.
Yeah, and this time, like now we're seeing her, and there's obvious she's like more Empire now. Because like she's
Mm-hmm.
added there was just like
Well,
a
she's going up in power, right? Like she's
she
going up in
is, but
power.
it was like a noticeable like difference of like, oh, we are now like in the Empire type of like with the
Yeah.
hat and the colors and yeah.
Yeah, I am glad that her arc in this episode the way went the way that it did. Like they thought it was going to be easy to control the citizens of Ferrix through this funeral.
Oh, and they had
To
like they're like only 30 people. They wanted this time, but we pushed back and did this time. And like you could tell they're only like making these changes of what they wanted just like to show that they have the power.
Yeah, and I mean they started the episode out. You knew mayhem was going to happen because that guy's son,
Mhm.
Wilman, he was building a bomb.
Yeah.
You could tell that's what that
He
was.
was
No
building
one
a
is actually
device.
a device. It was a bomb. Um,
I don't know what YouTube will accept as words that we say.
I say, okay, he was building a device that goes
Boom.
boom.
I just don't know what things will like trigger and be like, oh, you're getting taken down because you're we're like, we're not. Yes. So then we have
Um,
him. And then we're not back to, we're at the senator.
yeah, I feel like the beginning of this episode actually flashed to all the
It was
pieces.
telling us where all our players were
Yeah,
in
I kind of like
preparation.
that, like really quick flashes
Hmm.
of everything that was going on.
We've
I
solved
like
our
that we
money
got to this.
problems.
I know. I was like, oh my God, how smart. That poor man is like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, I kept my promise.
I
Ooh.
know, I kept my promise. And she's like, I need the scapegoat. I need it. But it
And
was
I
a
hope,
good
like,
scapegoat.
behind closed doors, she's just like, hey, I know you're not really gambling, but I needed the
No,
people watching. I know she's
I don't.
not, but I just felt so bad for him in that moment because he's been such a good husband.
Sure.
I
I
mean,
wonder if
like,
he,
he's been playing the
I,
role he's meant to play. Like,
yeah, I wonder if he has been gambling, just not to that extent. Because it's very clear that he has a gambling
Well, it was
problem.
a prior problem. I don't think he has been. I think he's like truthful and saying like I haven't. Because see, the way he was just like, Who told you?" Like,
Blindsided by it.
yes, like I feel like had he been like back into gambling, he would have probably fessed up to it at that point. Because he was
Yeah.
caught, like, and she knows it was a previous thing, but she used it to her advantage.
Yeah, I think it was enough that I'm hoping that it's enough that it covers it up without her having to betroth. But her daughter got betrothed anyway at the end of the episode.
No. So if you remember the conversation, they never
Just an
said
introduction.
it was an introduction, which is a little different. This kid looks a little young. It's like very end of the
Hmm.
episode, but he looks young.
So they look, he says he's 13.
Okay.
So I would say they look around the same age because boys look younger for longer. Like,
They do, but he looked like 2 years younger than her. And he was
I think she's 14. I think they're about the same age.
well, see, I thought she was like closer to 15 because they said how she got married at 16.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought she was
Yeah.
14.
But they met. I kept like as they were like we knew that that was what was happening there. I kept waiting for it to be like someone we knew.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's Kai and we just don't know it. Kai
It's
Brightside.
definitely not.
It's Cyrus.
Funny thing you said. Cyrus is red.
I just continually try to get the young Jedi involved in other series, even when it's the wrong era.
Yeah, no. I'm glad that Mothma is settled. And I'm glad that we settled her early. So we don't have to think about her the rest of the episode. Not that we were going to, but
No, and they wrapped
we
it up with like the introduction and was like a nice clean wrap up of her story.
yeah, I like that everybody is on Ferrix.
Yeah.
Um Vel is just hanging out like a I don't know, a
She's
hoodlum.
just
She's
not a
not a hoodlum, but she's just hanging out.
she's the wanderer. She like doesn't know where she belongs.
She's
Excuse me.
not surprised to see Luther. And they're all just on Ferrix waiting for Andor to show his face,
Yes. Sorry, the
which
puppy's
is
trying to steal everything I have
no,
on
it's
here.
fine.
Um, then we get the Clem flashback.
The brick. Cassian visits Clem, which I thought was so sweet, actually. And you get the bit of wisdom from Clem to Cassian, while he prepares to do whatever he's going to do. I love that everyone is in cahoots to keep Cassian a secret. Even
Yeah.
though they're mad that like all this oversight has happened, I feel like they realize it's no longer Cassian's fault. Like it was
Yeah.
going to
It was
happen
gonna happen
regardless.
anyway, and then with I think like with Marva, it gave him some perspective also, like that because of it, he couldn't see his mom one last time.
Yeah. So they're like, he is punished enough.
Yeah.
Enough. Um, I don't know. I like the way this episode plays out. I like how Brasso is like, I will take care of Marva, even though other people were gossiping, like how shameful it is
Yeah.
that Brasso is going to be the one because Cassian has disappeared. But I'm like, they found a spot for Cassian to watch.
Yeah.
But also his plan was always in that mayhem
Yes.
of the
We
final speech.
also so we always knew that Marva was a member of the Sisters of Ferrix. We found out she was a former president.
The daughters of Ferrix. Yeah.
Daughters.
Which
Daughters,
is
which is
why
like the
she's
same
such a
thing.
prominent figure. It depends on what
Yes.
state you're in, Danny. Um
Valid.
um that's why she was such a prominent figure in the community
Yes.
because like I think she's been there a long time, but I was just like oh, like whatever, she's in this group and people like her, but the amount of people that showed up for her funeral, they
When they were
started
limited to
on time.
30
First of all, they started on the time that they wanted to start, not the
with
time that the
a
Empire told
funeral
them.
band, like it was a
Multiple.
full-on
They were
marching
coming
band.
together.
I think they were all the same band coming in from different directions. I think it was like a
Okay.
mass. It was a massive marching band.
Yeah. It was beautiful and everybody marching behind them. And you
Mhm.
can just see the Empire, the
But
security
you
guards,
know who was the most important person in there?
BMO. I was so irritated later in the fight when someone kicked BMO over. I was
That
like,
was not okay.
no.
I was
I
not
literally
okay.
shouted. I was like, no, oh, he's turtling on the floor. But I could tell they were panicking because they did not have enough people
No, they weren't
to
prepared.
enforce the law.
They actually expected them to only do 30 people at the time under their rules.
Mm-mm-mm. And it is interesting to see Dedra panic.
Mhm.
This is the first time we really see her
She
doubt
had,
herself and
mhm.
panic. She almost died.
Yeah,
In fact, if it
I knew
wasn't for
Sierra was going to save her.
Stalker,
I
yeah, if
knew
it
Sierra.
wasn't for Stalker Emo Boy, she would be dead.
Yeah,
They had a moment in the closet. I honestly thought they were going to kiss
I did
in a
too.
weird way.
Love
It
that.
was, I didn't love it either. I was like, I don't like it. I know I was rooting for it, but I don't like it anymore. He's too stalkery. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
But yeah, no. Can we talk about Marva's speech?
Oh, hold on. I have the words. My name is Marva Karasi Andor. I'm honored to stand before you. I'm honored to be a daughter of Ferrex and honored to be worthy of the stone. Strange. I feel as if I can see it. I was 6, I think. First time I touched a funerary stone, heard our music, felt our history, holding my sister's hand as we walked all the way from Fountain Square, where you stand now. I've been more times than I can remember. I always wanted to be lifted. I was always eager, always waiting to be inspired. I remember every time it happened, every time the dead lifted me with their truth. And now I'm dead, and I yearn to lift you. Not because I want to shine or even be remembered. It's because I want you to go on. I want Ferrex to continue. In my waning hours, that's what comforts me most. But I fear for you. We've been sleeping. We've had each other and Ferrex, our work, our days. We had each other and they left us alone. We kept the trade lane open and they left us alone. We took their money and ignored them. We kept their engine churning, and the moment they pulled away, we forgot them because we had each other. We had Ferrex, but we were sleeping. I've been sleeping, and I've been turning away from the truth I wanted not to face. There is a wound that won't heal at the center of the galaxy. There is a darkness reaching like rust into everything around us. We let it grow, and now it's here. It's here, and it's not visiting anymore. It wants to stay. The Empire is a disease that thrives in darkness. It is never more alive than when we sleep. It's easy for the dead to tell you to fight, and maybe it's true. Maybe fighting is useless. Perhaps it's too late. But I'll tell you this, if I could do it again, I'd wake up early and be fighting those bastards from the start. Fight the Empire. Fight the Empire.
Fight the Empire. What a speech. It took them so long to shut it down. I was
I
like,
know.
guys, you could see where this is going.
I don't know if that I feel like they just like weren't actually like tuning in. They were just like, okay, we'll get this over with. Like we're watching for Cassie and we don't care about what she's
Mm-hmm.
saying. Like she's this little old lady who has never caused us a
And then
problem.
they realized towards the end that they were like, oh wait, maybe
It's like
not a battle cry for hundreds of people.
right when she said the Empire is a disease, they were like, whoop.
Ooh.
Now, but we also now know like Barracks was her home.
Yeah, she's from there. That also makes more sense with why
Why
she's so
everyone.
connected to it and everyone loves
Yeah.
her. Like she
Because
grew
like
up there.
I guess going through it, I just assumed they had like moved there because there was no
Yeah,
like a new planet because there would be no questions about Cassian. Like,
it was great. I honestly, the end, this episode was so good. And the fact that Cassian was using that as the distraction to get in to save Bix. The scene where he breaks into the building and he meets up with the cook, who is so clearly Brasso's source of like she was alive 3 days
Yeah.
ago, and he was just like, "Where is she?" And they're just like, he's like, "I'm really sorry about your mom. She's over there. Bye." I was just like, honestly, like a lot happens in this episode, a lot of little things.
Yes.
Um, the moment where like the Empire gets overtaken, and you're just kind of like, I wonder if this is the first time they realize that they might not have
The
the
resources.
the resources to fight, right? Because like they took over this hotel, but the people who live there know it better than anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's where and then that boom that goes off, Luthen was suspiciously close to it. I was like, that must have knocked him down a peg
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
He looked very unsettled.
He was like, all of my plans have changed. And then he was like, like, you could just tell he's like, oh, we've actually done this.
Yeah.
And he's like, but now I'm like in the worst place possible for me to actually be caught.
He gets on his speeder, runs away. I don't know where Vel ran. I assume Vel was running towards Cinta because then they were packing up
That's my
at the end,
assumption.
ready to just leave and disappear off the planet as
Mhm.
if they were never there to begin with.
Yeah.
Um, I love that everybody was just like plotting for Cassian and Bix and Brasso to leave with Bimo. With Bimo. I know. And poor Bimo when he thought like Cassian came for him, and then Cassian was like, I will find you. And he's like, wait,
I
wait, wait,
literally
wait.
these are how my notes are worded. Cassie and B reunited! Exclamation, exclamation. You always say that, and you always come through. I'm like, but I knew what Cassian was gonna be doing.
I know. So I liked that final scene actually. I thought that Luthen still didn't know until that point, like if he was gonna kill Cassian or keep him. But I wonder if he enjoyed like he liked his like gumption in
Yeah.
that moment. Cause like it was a whole thing earlier that like Cassian had seen the ship,
Yeah.
had seen the inside, all of that stuff. And
I
this
knew
is
where he
why.
like stored it, but like now on top of it, Cassian has now like proved himself that he might be a player. That he
Yeah,
wasn't
because
there
he
for the
just
like he's in it now. He's not there for the one time.
yeah, well, because you see that Cassian was listening to the manifesto,
Yeah.
to that kid's manifesto, and I'm just like, I feel like the prison is what turned him, and everything that happened after was just like hammering home the point that he
Yeah.
can't do nothing. So I kind of like that. I think Vel is going to have a big problem
Yeah.
with this situation because I think that like Vel is number two, kind of,
Hmm.
right? To Luthen's number one in terms of her brain. Like, I'm the next big operative.
Well, I also feel like Vel is like ready to just run off with Cinta and is not
Mm-hmm.
as gung ho.
About the rebellion as Cinta.
Hmm.
It's so funny to see the levels, right? Because Cinta is more devout than Vel.
Hmm.
Vel is way more devout than Mothma. And I'm just like, it's really interesting to see those levels
I think
happen.
I don't know that Vel is more devout than Mothma. I think because of the positions that they are in, they have to play a very different game.
That's true.
Because if you put Mothma doing what Vel is doing, you lose the inside source as a senator.
Yeah.
And I feel it just is because of where what her life has taken her through and where she is positioned, she needs to do what she's doing in the spot that she is at.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting when they all I'm just like now I'm like, guys, this is not coming out for weeks. What shall I do?
Well, you should go
The
to
post
Capella.
The post credit, I know I'll be at Coachella. I will no longer be thinking of Andor. Um, the post credit scene I laughed at because I was like, I called it. I called it. Those were pieces for the Death Star. That's why they need the prison labor
Mhm.
to build it. I called this episode. I was like, the Death Star pieces, the tunnels, Danny. Stop making fun of my tunnels.
Secret tunnel
Everybody coming together. Cassian
being
saving Bix.
abandoned again.
Again, but at least he has Bix and Brasso, right? Like he's not, and Cassian will find them.
They will be found because I will riot if I don't get all the BMO content in season 2.
I know. So I'm like, I have no idea how they're going to start season two. Legitimately, I was thinking, I was like, it's a 3 episode drop. It's like 1 year. They're kind of spanning the rest of the time
Like every five
between,
years.
yeah, between now and Rogue One. So I assume Cassian is a spy. And like, I'm hoping, I don't know if they're going to start off right away.
I don't know how I think we are going to start the episode seeing him meet up with the others.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, are we going to start right away and then do a time jump for the next set of three?
I think we have to because I understand a time jump, but there's still like some loose ends with everyone that I feel like we need to pick up where they are to see it because like decisions need to be made. Like,
And then they can do the jumps.
yeah,
I don't know. That's where I'm like, at this point, I kind of don't want to go into it with any sort of
I don't want to theory it.
expectation. I
I
don't
want to just go in and
watch it.
enjoy it.
It's essentially 4 movies. So
Mary,
yeah,
you always say that.
and you always come through. I know.
However, we're not the droids you're looking for.
But we're the droids you're gonna get.